We're going to transition here and talk more about DC stuff, but more so what's working for DC, which is the Batman film, as it does seem to be the most anticipated movie moving into this year. And it does seem to be the one thing that is actually going right for them, and the one thing I'm simply just interested in talking about. Now, over the past couple of months, and more so very recently, there have been discussions that a huge cameo is going to be in the new Batman film near the end of the movie to obviously tease for the future. And apparently it is a very big cameo, especially from the way people talk about it. And there are two people I think it could be, and it's nothing extensive, nothing crazy to my theories. It's just two that are probably the most possible for the future of these Batman films. Now, just like usual, before I get into the video, make sure to leave a like and to subscribe to keep up to date with all the content I got coming out on this channel, but let's get into it. Now, this rumor is mainly rooted from an actor, Barry Keoghan, and he was in the new Eternals movie, which I still haven't seen yet. And apparently in the film, he's playing some officer in the GCPD, but a little while ago, his brother came out on Twitter and stated that he is playing the Joker for the Batman franchise, and then quickly deleted his tweets right after. So I don't know how much stock is in that. I don't know if his brother was playing around. I don't know what was going on there. I mean, when I look at Barry Keoghan, I see the attributes. I could see why he would be casted as a Joker. I can't speak for his acting talent. I don't know if he can pull off a Joker. At the end of the day, look what a lot of people said about Heath Ledger when he was casted. Not many people were happy about that at all. So as for him, for all I know, he could be amazing at the role. I'm just not too sure. So I don't know if there's any truth to that statement that he will be the Joker, but if he is, I could understand why they would go that route. Now, also, and this is from a month ago that this was stated, so I don't know if they are still working on this, but at the time, there were apparently two different versions of the movie they were playing around with. And mainly, I think those two versions differ in the sense of length, so screen time and possibly how the movie ends with that cameo presence. And I'm sure if you've kept up to news and rumors with this movie the way I have, you've heard that this movie is potentially 2 hours 20 minutes, 2 hours 30 minutes, 2 hours 45, possibly 3 hours, 3 hours 10. There are a bunch of different runtime statements for this film. We don't know which one we're going to be getting in theater. And even, let's just say, for example, because Warner Brothers seems to have loved doing this recently, even if we were to say get a 2 hour 45-minute version of the film in theater, there might be an extended cut that comes out to 310. Like, we don't know at this point. So now the real question becomes, will we see this cameo in the final project? Whatever runtime or version of the film that they choose to go with for its release day in March, will this cameo actually show up at the end of the movie? And if this cameo shows up, who will it be? Because obviously the most plausible answer is the Joker. Why wouldn't it be the Joker? This movie has not even released yet, and it is already impacting pop culture, the media, and comic book fans to another extent. So if this movie's already so big, just purely based off of the trailers we see, and if this movie does absolutely live up to the hype, why wouldn't you want the movie to continue with the hype even after its release by placing one of the biggest names in Batman or DC pop culture, which is the Joker? First of all, that's my number one. Joker, I would be shocked if that was not the big cameo reveal. It would just make a ton of sense if it was the Joker, because another thing I think to myself as well is that if this is going to be a trilogy, if there is only going to be 3 films, you probably want to start developing the Joker sooner rather than later, so that when Robert Pattinson and Matt Reeves end their Batman trilogy, they can end it with a big bang against the Joker. It's more than likely how the Dark Knight trilogy would have worked if Heath Ledger didn't pass away. More than likely, he would have showed up in The Dark Knight Rises, and he probably would have been the final big bad to Christian Bale's Batman, even if or with Bane in that film as well. I mean, look what happened in that movie. Within the last 10 to 15 minutes, it wasn't even Bane who was the main baddie anymore. It ended up being Talia al Ghul anyways. So they probably would have pulled the same maneuver with Heath Ledger's Joker. So if Joker is the main reveal at the end of the Batman film, I could see them going that route. So the Joker is my number one option for the cameo reveal, but I'm thinking about other DC characters and properties, and I'm thinking to myself, what else could be a really, really big cameo reveal by the end of the film? And some of the characters I'm coming up with are Superman, Wonder Woman, or any of the Justice League characters. As far as we're concerned, of course, Warner Brothers likes to change their mind. Every single day of the week is a new mind change. So Monday is this, Tuesday is this, Wednesday is this. We can't really keep on track. This is not about Warner Brothers. I'm not going down that route again. But simply what I'm saying is it doesn't seem like this Batman has any correlation with the outside DC world. And I'm pretty sure Matt Reeves has made it very clear that this is like another Christopher Nolan trilogy in the sense that in this world, it is just Batman. No other characters exist. And let's just play devil's advocate and say that maybe throughout these Robert Pattinson films, we get maybe mentions of Justice League characters or other superheroes or maybe their cities. Even if that were to happen, maybe a mention of a Metropolis or a flying man in Metropolis. I'm not saying that's gonna happen. I'm just saying if it were to happen, it still seems like Matt Reeves does want to keep this Batman very secluded from the rest of the DC world. So the chances of a Justice League character or a big named DC hero showing up as the cameo in the Batman film is highly unlikely. And the only one I could even maybe think being the big cameo reveal would have to be a Superman or a Wonder Woman, maybe a Flash, and that's just not going to happen. Now, looking more so in just the gallery of Batman, you have a lot of prestigious characters, and the question is, who could it be? You obviously have the Joker, who we just talked about. You have Lucius Fox, who could be a cameo reveal. You have all of his villains. List any villain you want who could potentially be a cameo. You even have a Robin, possibly a Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake. I'm sure they would probably want to go with the more historically accurate route with going with Dick Grayson first before you jump to the other Robins. That would be a pretty interesting cameo. Maybe, for example, the film ends with, I don't know, Bruce going to a circus event. I don't really think that this Robert Pattinson Batman fits the Bruce Wayne who would go to a circus show. I don't think he would do that. I'm just saying that Dick Grayson could potentially be a pretty big cameo reveal at the end of a movie to signify that Batman is now going to have a Robin, which is not something we've seen since the terrible George Clooney film. I mean, obviously Ben Affleck's Batman did have a Robin, but they never really dive into it too much, and we never see Robin at his side. That could be a pretty interesting cameo reveal. Once again, don't really know if this Batman is going to have a kid to take care of and to mentor. I don't really know if that is what this Batman's going to be about. I think once again, it is just going to be mainly about Bruce Wayne. Is it possible? Yes. Do I think it's likely? No. And I know I just mentioned Lucius Fox as well, and yes, showing Lucius Fox is always interesting, but is he big enough to be a big cameo reveal? No. I mean, yeah, maybe at the end of a movie, having one of the final scenes of the film show off Lucius Fox, that would be fun because we would all be like, oh, it's Lucius Fox, that's cool, so we'll see him again in the future. But he's not a, oh my god, it's Lucius Fox. That's not how we would feel about that character. Once again, could he potentially be Easter egged in the film? I'm sure. Yeah, there's a possibility. Do I think it's likely? Yeah, okay. I don't necessarily think it would be a big deal if Lucius Fox was mentioned in this film or not. But would he be this big cameo reveal? No, because I don't think he is a big cameo reveal. That's not what Lucius Fox is. He's not that important. I mean, the other one who's close to Batman that I could think of is Batgirl. And we do know that Commissioner Gordon is going to be in this film, so maybe there is a reveal that Gordon does have a daughter. But once again, I do feel that Batgirl does share the same similarities with Robin, where she does need to be mentored, and I don't really know if this Bruce Wayne is going to be all about that. Also too, I think what's going to be happening in this film is a deep-rooted relationship and connection between Batman and Catwoman. And I'm not saying it's impossible to develop multiple different relationships with close people in Bruce's life, but I think Matt Reeves wants to focus more on the Bat and the Cat than he does with Batman and Batgirl or Batman and Robin. Once again, is it possible? Sure, I'll give you that. Is it likely? No, probably not. So now I look at his villains. Well, first of all, you have Riddler as the main villain in this film, so no, it can't be him. You have the Penguin, who's also in this film. Can't be him. You could say Scarecrow. I think Scarecrow has certainly made himself a much more bigger presence in the realm of Batman over the past couple of years. I mean, Cillian Murphy played a great Scarecrow in the Nolan trilogy. He was awesome in the Arkham games. And I mean, Scarecrow, in my personal opinion, is one of the biggest Batman villains because Batman is all catered about fear and inflicting fear to the criminals of Gotham. But Scarecrow is about inflicting fear to the people of Gotham and Batman himself. It's basically fighting fire with fire, but one side of it is fear for torment, and the other side of it is fear for justice. You could argue that Scarecrow would be enough of a big reveal and cameo to be like, oh my god, that's Scarecrow. I just still don't think he holds the same kind of effect that the Joker does. And I think of some of the other villains, you know, Mr. Freeze, I can't see him existing in this Batman world. Bane, Christopher Nolan did a great job making Bane feel more realistic, and I do feel like Matt Reeves is going down that route as well. But you wouldn't want to make Bane exactly like the Bane from the Dark Knight trilogy. So unless they had their own ideas of making Bane more grounded, I don't really know if they'd want to go with Bane, especially in this world that they're creating. I don't think this Batman is fighting a venom-injected Bane who becomes the size of a small building. I don't think that's happening. Who else do you have? Poison Ivy. You're making a very strong case with a female-dominated role with Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. You could pull that maneuver off with Poison Ivy. The issue, once again, is this Batman feels way too grounded to have these insanely super powered villains enter this world. So having a woman that can control plants and can create massive fly traps swirling around a building, eating up GCPD helicopters as they fly around, I don't think that fits this Batman world, so I'm going to cross her out as well. So we could continue to go down a list of Batman characters that just won't work, or I mean, at first glance, we don't think they work unless they have a, really interesting way of twisting it. But there is one other villain, potentially bracket villains, that could actually work, and I think the possibility of introducing the Court of Owls as a possible threat and cameo reveal for the future of the Batman films, I think it's certainly up there. I mean, ever since the Court of Owls was created in the comic books, people have loved the story so much that there have been callings for a live action Court of Owls movie. I think it would fit very well in this Batman world because the Court of Owls are certainly more of a grounded threat. They're essentially like a really old Illuminati who controls Gotham City from the background in the shadows, and no one really knows about it. And then we find out that the Waynes at one point were involved. There's a part in the trailer where Bruce says to Alfred, "All these years you lied to me, Alfred." And I don't necessarily know exactly what that could mean. For some reason, when I think about it, I connect it to his parents. Maybe Alfred knew something about his parents that he never told Bruce. And it seems like the root of this film is Riddler trying to show the truth of Gotham City, and he's trying to show how Bruce Wayne Batman fits into this entire picture. So maybe there is an Illuminati, the Court of Owls, in Gotham City, and even though Riddler has his own twisted ways of bringing that to light, maybe he's trying to show the truth of how corrupted this city is, and that it's not the politicians making the choices, it is the Court of Owls who have been controlling Gotham this entire time without his knowledge. Maybe the Waynes are part of it as well. And that's why Riddler tells him, "You are part of this too, and I'm gonna show you why." Maybe when Batman finds out, he says to Alfred, "You knew about this and you've lied to me." I don't know. Maybe I'm just grasping at straws here. I don't know if there's anything like concrete, but it's a possibility. And 100%, I keep bringing it down to the atmosphere and the tone of the world that Matt Reeves is creating. When you look at the trailers alone, you do get this sensation that there is a possibility a Court of Owls could exist in a world like this. It does look like this Gotham is extremely corrupted. You could say that about every Gotham comic books, video games, cartoons, the Dark Knight trilogy, even Ben Affleck's Batman and Batman v Superman. We don't really see Gotham all that much, but you still get that vibe. But there's something about this one that just seems very, very dark and very grimy. So those are my two options, Joker and the Court of Owls. Mainly Joker if you do want to make another Batman franchise that is centered off of the conflict between Batman and Joker, since it is probably one of the best matchups of all time. Or if you want to go in a different route and use a more corrupted government effect that's kind of swallowing up Gotham City, the city that Bruce has vowed to save and keep safe at all times, you'd go with the Court of Owls. Maybe there's even an opportunity for you to do both. I don't know how it would be done. You need to write it properly. The story needs to be good enough, but maybe. So let me know in the comments below if you think I'm onto something, if you think I'm right, or maybe if you have another cameo that could possibly show up. Maybe you think Mr. Freeze could possibly show up, but you have a genius way of bringing him into the story. If so, leave in the comments below. Let me know what you think. But that is all I have for this one, guys. So until next time, I will talk to you all very soon.